Hi, very good morning. Welcome back to Healthy is Sexy by Simply Nature, and this is Jaslin every Thursday at 8 a.m. with you. And 大家早上好, mabuhay, friends in the Philippines and my friends in Singapore. A very good morning, 大家早安. So before I start, I would like to again, recap what I've shared this year in 2019. I'm going to touch on the basic human 5 needs that is really concerned about us day in day out of our life, and that's none other than what I've shared last week. I was on the first topic of the year, that is air. Air concerns every one of us. If we have no air, we will probably be dead right now, right? So the 5 concern or daily needs of a human being or living things are air, water, food, shelter, and clothing. So I'm going to touch on my series on health tips and health concern or awareness or prevention based on these 5 needs, air, water, food, clothing, and shelter. Anything that is concerned these 5 evolving in our life day in, day out. For the next series, I'm going to expand on it. All right, so I was on the topic of air, and as I said, if we don't have proper air, we probably would not even survive to our human age. If you stop breathing for the next, I don't know how long, I forgot about it, but I think about 3 minutes, you would have been dead by now. So air is so important, right? Even for the basic air that we're talking about right now, we are exposed or we're bombarded with really polluted air, whether it's indoor or even outdoor. Especially, I was on the topic of indoor air that we're exposed to in our daily life, whether you are in a car, if you're in an office, or in a home. You are actually exposed with if you forgot about what I've shared last week, is really about air refreshener, that you have been exposed to day in, day out of your life, whether you are in an office, in your home, or in your car, especially for taxi driver, Grab driver out there. If you are so used to using air refreshener in your car, you have to start considering getting rid of it because of the many chemical that is been in the content itself. If you have not been reading what you have been buying, I advise you from this year onwards, look at the label that you are buying, the things that you are buying, the label. If it talks about anything that you have is unknown ingredients, then you have to start researching on it. So today I'm continuing the topic on air, and now we're talking about air on the whole. When you are traveling outside, when you're on the road, when you're in the country, it's outdoor air I'm talking about today. So among the 6 common air pollutant, there are this different kind, and yes, negatively impact on our life as we breathe in. And these common 6 air pollutant that we really need to pay attention to and to avoid having it inhaled day in, day out of our life. In fact, the Clean Air Act required the Environmental Protection Agency, or we call it the EPA, to set national air quality standard for these 6 most prevalent and dangerous air pollutants. The common 6, they are found as air pollutant, which are also known as categorical pollutants, are found over the world, which is one of the many aspects of why they are so dangerous. So I'm going to touch on the 6. So it will be pretty technical today, and but I thought this is something that we should really know by now, or whether you're a science student or not, you're a physician or not, you're a chemist or not. I think these are the common or GK knowledge that we should know by now, and how we should prevent it, or how we should mitigate it in our life, or get rid of it. Why is it important to even wear a mask when you're exposed to environment of these 6 air pollutants? So let's start with the first. All right, so I'm going to name down the 6, and the first one is actually called the particle pollutant. In short, it's also another name for it is called particulate matter, PM. Alright, so I'm going to talk about PM. PM is a mixture of solid and liquid droplets floating in the air. So some particles are released directly from a specific source while others form in a complicated chemical reactions in the atmosphere. So component of PM including finely divided solid or liquid such as dust, fly ash, soot, smoke, aerosol, fumes, mist, and condensing vapor that can be suspended in the air for extended period of time. So they are floating in the air in a different density for extended period of time. So PM pollutant can really cause lung irritation, which leads to increased lung tissues. PM aggravates the severity of chronic lung disease, causing rapid loss of airway function. So people that are suffering from asthma or sinus or having difficulty in breathing, be aware you could be exposed to PM or you call it the particulate matters in your life which you are not aware of, or whether your work is actually a hazardous area, whether you're working in a construction area, you're working in a city with a lot of pollutions. You know, I've shown a lot of picture on my Facebook page last night and even on my Instagram, you know, all the places, you know, whether it's in India, it's in China, it's in Shanghai, it's in Beijing, you know, tourists, you know, doing a selfie with their mask on, but and the background is not really very scenic because it's blurred due to the air pollution and the dust. So this is the environment they are living in, guys, and it's going to not get better but probably get worse. But that's probably the reason why in Singapore or in some first world we are pushing out electric car, because we are trying to reduce the pollutions on the street, especially the emissions coming from the car that's running on petroleum, you know, especially diesel as well. So number 2, ground zero ozone. What is ground zero ozone? It's a colorless and highly irritating gas that forms just above the Earth's surface. You know, it is called a secondary pollutant because it is produced when 2 primary pollutants reacted in the sunlight and stagnate air. And these 2 pollutants are actually nitrogen oxide and volatile organic compound, VOC, which I mentioned in my last few episodes. Alright, so these 2 compounds come from natural sources as well as human activity, and 95% of nitrogen oxide from human activity comes from the burning of coal, gasoline and oil in motor vehicles, home, industrial, factories and even power plants. So yeah, but VOC are from human activity, mainly coming from gasoline combustions and upstream oil and gas productions, residential wood combustions, and from the evaporations of fuels and solvent. So fuel and solvents, liquid solvents, we're talking about chemical reactions, you know, whether you are in a power plant, in factories that need it for it, or you are actually manufacturing for chemical products like detergent and so ever, you know, household product. So significant quantity of VOCs also originated from natural biogenic sources such as coniferous forests, you know. I'll go into it later. So ozone is known to have significant effect on human health, and exposures to ozone has been linked to premature mortality and a range of health endpoint admissions and even asthma and symptoms such as that. In addition to its effect on human health, ozone is also significantly impact the agricultural land that we're living in and decreasing the productivity of crops. It also injure flower, scrubs, and even contribute to the deforestation. So ozone can also damage synthetic material such as crack in the rubber, crack in the wall, fading of dyes, speed deteriorations of some paint and coating, especially in buildings. You know, ozone could actually cause the decoloring and fading of the paint, you know, cracks in the wall such as that. It actually even damage commodities such as cotton, you know, nylon, polyester and other textiles. So ozone, ground zero ozone has been such a harmful as well as causing a lot of damage to not only human beings, living things, but even, you know, your agriculture, your plantation, you know, your really daily life, even your building structure, causing rubble, crack and things like that. So that was number 2. Number 3, carbon monoxide, you know, CO, not CO2. CO2 is carbon dioxide. We're talking about carbon monoxide. CO, it is a colorless, odorless, tasteless gas. You know, very scientific. It's slightly less dense than air. So carbon monoxide is actually produced from partial oxidations of carbon containing compound. So this is getting very technical. It forms when there is not enough oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. That's why it's only one C and one O, right? So such as operating a stove, internal combustion engine, which is from the car. It could be from your rockets, from your airplane, you know, in the presence of oxygen, including atmospheric concentrations, carbon monoxide burns with a blue flame, you know, producing carbon dioxide. Cool gas, which was used widely in the past in the 60s for domestic lighting, cooking, heating, had carbon monoxide as their significant fuel. Even the third world, there are more carbon monoxide because of the way, you know, things are run in their lives. Their domestic lighting, cooking and heating, and even cooking styles are still very dependent on the old school, which actually emitting a lot of CO. So in the modern days, technologies such as melting of iron, you know, still produce carbon monoxide as a byproduct. So a lot of this has been coming from factories, coming from power plant. Large amount of CO is formed during the oxidative process of producing chemical. We're talking about chemical even for household products, even for a personal care. You know, there's chemical in it. So as long as you're producing chemical like that, CO would be actually a byproduct which will be formed. So that was number 3, carbon monoxide. Number 4, sulfur dioxide. It's a chemical compound with the formula SO2. So it is a toxic gas with a burn match smell. Alright, so it is released naturally by volcanic activity which happened lately in Indonesia and is produced as a byproduct of the burning of fossil fuel contaminated with sulfur compound and copper extraction. So again, you know, these are all done in power plant as well because of they are producing something out of it, and in the process sulfur is being emitted. So of course, in a natural way, it comes from volcano eruptions, right? So most sulfur dioxide in the air comes from the burning of coal, oil in power plant. You know, sulfur dioxide causes acid rain. If you still remember back in the old days during a science class, sulfur causes acid rain, which can actually damage trees and crops. Yet sulfur dioxide is sometimes used as a preservative in alcohol drink or dried apricot, dried fruits, so that it actually create an antimicrobial properties to preserve it for long-term usage. So you can find sulfur dioxide actually in your food, preservative food. So sulfur dioxide is also considered to be sometimes rather safe. However, some people are sensitive to it, and it may also cause asthma symptoms or asthma attacks if the person is not aware of. That was number 4. Number 5, nitrogen oxide. Now that's one of the component or compound that has contribute to the ground zero ozone production. As a mixture of gases that are composed of nitrogen and oxygen, two of the most toxic significant compound are nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. Alright, so where was it found? In the area of high automobile traffic, like in my place right here in the center of Manila, Makati, such as this large city, even in Jakarta, even in Thailand, you know, in Bangkok itself, high traffic area, 4 hours of stuck in the traffic. You can imagine motionless, cars, but it's emitting a lot of nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide as well. The amount of nitrogen oxide emitted in the atmosphere can be quite significant. In fact, this creates acid rain again. The main source are found in the combustion of coal, which is actually again used for productions of power, especially in places that are needed on productions, have huge manufacturing industry such as China, Vietnam, India, emitting as well as producing electrical power plant, also during the combustion of gasoline in automobile, which is exactly most of us staying in a city, right? But both of these sources contribute to equally irritant gas, which are high concentration, causing inflammation of your airway. So maybe that is also very much the reason why there is a huge increase of people suffering from ENT, looking for ENT especially. ENT stands for eye, nose, throat issue, which is getting very common right now. In fact, people who is on medical studies might really wanted to go into this specialization. ENT is getting very popular because people that's living in a city, living in high industrial country, suffering from a lot of nose, eye, throat cases or issue, and in fact there are an increase of nose cancer, throat cancer, and even eye cancer in this time of our era, because we don't hear that in our parents' time. It's so rare, but it's getting so common. People suffering from throat cancer, nose cancer, and even eye cancer, which I find is really a concern to our today's world that we're living in. So that was number 5. Number 6, lead. Lead is the elemental heavy metal found naturally in the environment as well as in manufacturing product as well. Lead can be released directly into the air as suspended particle. Historical major source of lead air emission where motor vehicles and industrial source came from. So where is it found? Again, power plant, high motor vehicles, places, automobile, traffic area. We're talking about factories, manufacturing plants. And where it's found in the national level, major source in the air are coming from ore production, iron ore productions, metal productions, pistol engine aircraft operating, leaded aviation fuel. In the airport, people working in the airport. Other sources are waste incinerator, utility, lead acid battery manufacturing. Alright, so lead is particularly dangerous because once it gets into a person's system, it is distributed throughout the body, just like the helpful irons, calciums and zinc. But we are talking about heavy metals which shouldn't be entering our body. Lead can be harmful when it's landed in our body because lead may cause anemia, weakness, and kidney, brain malfunction. Lead exposure can even cause death. Lead can damage developing child central nervous system. Even a little level of lead can exposures to developing babies have been found affecting their behavior intelligence, because lead would actually affect your neural development in early days of the kids. Just a little lead. Well, of course there are parents that's asking questions like, if my kids that is so used to biting pencil that is made of lead, would it affect the development of the child? For sure. I cannot guarantee that there's no lead found in the body by biting the pencil. There's some kids that has a bad habit of biting pencils, that actually pencils are made out of lead, right? But if it is known, then the first thing you should be doing is to make sure that your child switch to mechanical pencil, or make sure that it doesn't form, get rid of the bad habit of biting pencil off, you know, and lead found in their lips. So, you know, other things that are found in our daily life that you can be exposed to lead or paint. You know, paint nowadays, paint, in order for it to stay longer on your walls or in outside the building, that last longer, they actually put lead compound in it. You know, even on toys, in the furniture, craft, in the days when people build homes, you know, there are actually a lead compound found in the cement. Dust, you could actually graphite, you know, there is lead dust in it. Soil, there is also lead, because, you know, it's found in the environment, and there's rain, the lead will fall into the ground. Drinking water, I mean, if you have the ability or know how to do heavy metal test on your food, on your water, then you should go ahead and try and test on your drinking water that's coming from the running tap. If there are found heavy metals, then probably you have to invest into a water filter. So air, of course, you know, lead are found in the air because of the emission coming from the vehicles. Folks, you'd be surprised, lead are found in medicine as well, drugs, cosmetic, jewelry, children's cosmetic jewelry as well, and toys. So after naming all the 6, which I am going through a recap right now. Number 1, PM, particle matter. Number 2, ground zero ozone. Number 3, carbon monoxide. Number 4, sulfur dioxide. Number 5, nitrogen oxide. Number 6, lead. It's like I'm giving you a science chemist class right now, right? These are the 6 they are really detrimental to our health, and these are what you have been breathing in and out. And this pollutant will really have a terrible impact on your life to anyone exposed you. So this means every single of us in the entire world, they're exposed to this 6 pollutant. No wonder my friends, you know, some of my friends over here are really thinking of retirement, retiring in the forest, in the woods, you know, in the province, because so that they will not be exposed to all this air, or at least minimize. We can't guarantee that there's none of the 6 in the air in today's world, but we could probably limit, you know, or reduce of the 6. But the pollutants also are not just affecting human life, but it's also affecting the environment, as I mentioned, plantation, agriculture, crops productions, you know, causing damage to the building as well. This 6 pollutant named in the previous had been the most widespread health threat. EPA called these 2 pollutants, which I just mentioned, PM, particle metals, and ground zero ozone, as the highest category of air pollutant, and they are highly regulated in most countries. Despite the progress made in the last few decades, millions of people continue to live in countries throughout the world with monitor data showing unhealthy air in one of the 6, you know, especially no wonder my friends has been moving out of places in Shanghai is really getting bad, Beijing is really getting bad. They are moving back to Singapore, some are migrating back to where they from, Australia, New Zealand, you know, and better still, you know, if they couldn't move out far from where they were due to work, they will actually retreat to Hong Kong. But Hong Kong air is pretty much bad as well, and you know, this is really alarming because it's really causing a lot of health issue. I mean, we are always talking about prevention is better than health, and if air quality is getting so bad, and if you really need to make a choice, then you seriously have to think, if you have your children with you, you know, and they are living in such a hazardous condition, and they are only at the age of 6 or 7 or even less than 12, their brain development will be surely affected. So the other concern is really about how do you actually lower this pollutant in your environment, and how do you be aware? I mean, sharing the 6 hopefully you're more aware of the six that has been in and out of our life, you have exposed to, I'm going to share with you in my next episode, how you can limit this exposure and even minimize this impact in your life. So mentioning the six, hope I've that's all I have for you today. Since you are aware, I suppose you would be doing your own research, reading more about the six, so that you'll be convicted and convinced that you should be doing something about it and not sit there and do nothing, especially if you have kids at home or old folks at home. Prevention is really better than cure. And stay tuned in my next week's sharing. I'm going to share with you how to limit exposure, how to minimize the impact, the air that you're breathing right now, so that you will live a better life. Again, prevention is better than cure, isn't it? So thank you for watching. Once again, Healthy is Sexy, and this is Jaslin. Every Thursday at 8 a.m. I'm still on the series of air that you're breathing. I talk about the indoor air that you're breathing, that you should get rid of air refreshener. And today I've shared with you about the outdoor air that you're exposed to. How do you minimize it? How do you really, limit exposure? And that will be my topic for next week. Alright, so if you have been following me, then I'm on 8 a.m. every Thursday. If not, click onto the link on Simply Nature. And if you would love to hear what I shared about last week, if you missed that, click onto my YouTube channel that I posted everything on my channel right now. If you are interested to know what we are talking about and who are we here in Simply Nature, click onto the join our community, alright? And wanted to know the natural solution. By the way, we have talking about people for the last few episodes since we started last year, and people has been known for helping on your cells repair. So if you're already suffering from anything to do with ENT, eye, nose and throat, PPAR could be of help to you. So click onto the link to say, natural solutions for your health. Click onto simplynature.asia. Of course, you are familiar with us, then there you will know how to get your hand on our product. So brought to you by Simply Nature, and this is Jaslin. Once again, God bless you. Have a great week ahead. Alright, so thank you for watching. Bye.